What is up, my viewers? Spang here, bringing you another viewer-submitted World of Tanks gameplay commentary. Now, this is one of Never Aim's replays. I know one of our last matches was Never Aim, but he just submits so many good games and so many files, I figured. And besides, this time it's something a little bit different. It's an Indien-Panzer. How often do you see Indien-Panzer replays on my channel? I would say probably very rarely. In fact, it's quite possible that this is the first one. I cannot say that with any sort of degree of certainty, but regardless, it's going to be standard battle on Stalingrad, a tier 8 match for the most part. I mean, 1 tier 9 per team, and honestly, the enemy team has the advantage with it being an E75 on a city map like this. That is tremendous. Still, Never Aim, even though he is by himself, is quite a force to be reckoned with, regardless of the vehicle he's in. He's just got those tanking skills to pay the bills, and the enemy scout tanks looking like they're going to try and do suicide scouting and maybe get something out of it. Looks like Never Aim does have 6th Sense on this vehicle, which I highly approve of, especially with a vehicle meant to be more mobile and possibly scouting out on the front lines. It's not a tank I would typically play in a traditional scout role, but looking like these enemy scouts will get taken out very quickly. The E75 pushing up the 4 line, can't say I'm all too surprised, although I would expect it to be further down on the 2 or 3 line at this point rather than hung up on that sort of choke point of the 4 line. I guess he's just trying to utilize the spotting, I guess, that his Sua scouts accomplished, question mark? I don't know if you could really call that an accomplishment. I would say it was a waste of a run, and it really wasn't all too intelligent. I mean, I don't really know what they expected to do other than maybe light up a few tanks and then die horribly less than a minute later. That was the only logical outcome, in my opinion, unless Never Aim's team was just absolutely terrible, which is always a possibility in this game, that your team is absolute trash, but clearly not the case. So a T-44 looking like he wants to get out of there and recognizes he's not really going to do anything of value. I do have to put out the disclaimer that Never Aim, he informed me that he was having significant lag issues during this match, so if you see things a little kind of off about the way he's behaving, well, that would pretty much explain it, just his internet connection not being cooperative. And if you hear any noise in the background, I am actually with family for Thanksgiving, and I just want to apologize that. A few replays will probably have that in the background as I try and stay productive even in between the slow points of visiting with family. Right now, the Ferdinand, utilizing its armor quite effectively, you know, being a bit more of an assault gun, and I've said this in previous replays, the German TDs do tend to be a bit more assault gun-esque than other tank destroyers, and that's certainly not always the case, but, ooh, right there, I think lag hurt him a bit. Otherwise, I do believe he would have landed that shot if lag and RNG had been on his side a little bit more. E75 still hung up on this corner with a KV5, an IS-3, a T-34, just a lot of big armor and a lot of big guns kind of chilling right there. It looks like double T-34, actually. I did not notice that. And teams are actually kind of even. Hit points actually favoring the enemy team, and tank count starting to be closed up here and made even more kind of equal. The ISU 152 pulling out, not quite sure what he's going to do here other than die. This 12-ton has free reign. The ISU is just looking like he disconnected or had some lag issues. Maybe he had to step away from his computer really quick, or maybe he was a bot. I don't know. Something seemed very off about that movement though, and the enemy team really starting to make this a fair fight. In fact, I would say Never Aim in a bit of a tight spot here with his Ferdinand very close to death and an E75 rolling up on him. Never Aim trying to be a good ally and shield his Ferdinand from getting killed by the E75, at least to some extent, and the T-34 coming around the corner thinking he's going to want to get the kill and will do so. The team count number of teammates remaining for either still even. Tanks are definitely kind of a factor here, especially as Never Aim kind of at half hit points and struggling to stay alive with the T-34, E75, and a Roomba all crashing down towards him. Not quite sure I would want to be in this position. He really should start utilizing some of that medium tank mobility and get it, yeah, exactly what he's doing now. Get out of here before he really finds himself in a position where he is only going to die without really accomplishing anything. Wow, and that's what I call a Never Aim clutch play right there. Just not even zooming in, just driving backwards, pointing his gun in the direction of that tank and firing from third person to get the kill. I think that was a bit of a high roll, actually. He's firing high explosive right now due to the Roomba rolling in on him. But I think that might have been an actual penetrating high explosive shot on that T-34. I'd have to rewind to see, but right here getting some very solid hits. Yeah, 240 average damage. So that must have been a penetrating high explosive shot or an incredible high roll on that T-34, although I find that unlikely. The friendly T-34 saying, noob, do it, just do it. I'm sorry, I really should not reference memes anytime, anywhere, at any point during these commentaries. And the Roomba going blah, blah, blah. Apparently the T-34 was speaking to the friendly Roomba. And that just kind of goes to show how even teams were at this point. E-75 caught in a very bad position, getting lit on fire. German tanks very flammable, especially if you hit them in the right spot. Although I think they've been made a little less so in patches over time. Again, keep in mind, these are 9.6 replays, so it has been quite some time and quite a few patches since these matches have been played. So E-75 will get taken out. Right now, Never Aim dealing over 3,300 points of damage. This IS-3 decides he wants to pop out, take a shot, but will not penetrate the Indien-Panzer, proving just how troll its armor can be. Very uncommon for German vehicles, actually. Usually their armor is more reliable and less troll. The IS-3 completely missing that kill, and Never Aim getting kill number 6, monster kill, Top Gun, and his team managing to pull out what ended up being a very close match, 15-10, and only 1,746 hit points remaining when all was said and done. So very well played, and certainly Never Aim playing a key role with over 4,000 damage dealt. But let's go see those post-game stats and see how his team actually did. And here we go, seeing Never Aim did earn himself Mastery Badge Ace Tanker, and it actually just occurred to me, I'm not even sure if he's still part of the Wawa clan, being that this replay is so old. Actually, let's hop over here really quick, see when this was actually submitted. March 19th of 2015, so that just goes to show how long ago that was. I'll probably cut out that email section just so you don't see his actual email address and such. Protecting private information is very important, honestly. And you know, digressing a bit from that point and getting back on to the actual game, High Caliber, Top Gun, very unsurprising that he earned either of those, and I would say very unsurprising he earned Mastery Badge Ace Tanker with the amount of kind of maneuvering and running around he had to do, and he knew exactly when to fall back. Exactly when I said, you know, kind of in an unfavorable position, if I could actually word, you know, English correctly, that would be great. But I was like, oh, kind of unfavorable. Maybe he wants to, yep, now he's running. Yep, okay, cool. We're on the same wavelength. I mean, it's just intelligent play. So kind of demonstrating when to run, when to fight, and when to really just use your tank's strengths, which I think he did for the most part. I mean, he was being a bit of a brawler with a medium tank, but if any tank can do it, the Indien-Panzer kind of can. I mean, there are others like the T-54 as well, but certainly top performance there from him. Looks like that IS-3 and E-75 managing to dish out quite a lot of damage for their team, but at the same time, they were rather immobile. They were pretty much on the foreline for the vast majority of the game. In fact, I think nearly the entirety of the game. I didn't really see him repositioning or maneuvering all that much, but looks like it was a rather effective position for them, honestly. It's just unfortunate their allies, that ISU-152, I don't know what he was doing. Like I said, during the match, seemed kind of irregular and unfortunate kind of behavior. It's like he drove out and then lost connection or something. Got 2 shots off, so I'm not sure. It seemed very unintelligent behavior, and it's possibly bottish, but I can't say that with any sort of degree of certainty. There's nothing I can prove there, only my suspicions. Still, Never Aim doing a very respectable job. Of course, over 4,000 damage in a vastly tier 8 and lower game with 1 tier 9 per team. Actually, let's look at all the tanks here. Yeah, pretty much everything was tier 8 except for that guy right there and that guy right there. And Never Aim's team, so 1, and I think, nope, that's definitely tier 8. I'm not used to seeing this Panzer. I'm just used to seeing RU-251. But it looks like Never Aim's team, yep, right there. Just 2 lower tier scout tanks, and then everything else tier 8, and then 1 tier 9 per team. So vastly tier 8, and being able to do over 4,000 damage in pretty much a mostly tier 8 match, the way he was able to do it, kind of impressive, honestly. but certainly rambling on more than I should on that subject. I've said in previous videos, I'm like, oh, I want to shorten up these sections. Yeah, good luck with that. But direct hits, 19, penetration, 17, and a little bit of damage kind of not taken on. One non-penetrating hit, which was from that IS-3, I believe, and a little bit of sniping done, but that was against those scout tanks, I think, either that or the ISU-152. In any case, 7 enemy tanks hit, 6 of those killed, and a little bit of distance driven, and for Stalingrad, that's quite a bit, and especially when you consider he didn't go towards the rail side near the water, he went into the city, which, again, kind of surprising with an Indien-Panzer, but he made it work. So definitely a respectable performance, and if you enjoyed this video, please let me know, hit that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe, and if you got a replay, check the description below for instructions on that and more. But anyway, this has been Spang, and clearly I am just oh so professional.
MLG Dynamo!